Uh, uh, yeah, is this working? This is working, right? Uh, what is happening? I forgot to. Hello? Yeah, I forgot to plug in my shits. I don't know if you. Can you all hear that when I was like trying to do shits like this? No? Yes? No, I don't think so. It's like a audio monitor thing that I have to monitor stuff. Okay, let's see. This part. We're almost at the end of the book. Let's see, it was talking about Hello 3. Wait, I was in page. No, wasn't I? Oh, I wasn't. Oh, wait, no? Yes? Yes? Okay. No, I'm in page 216. Previously, it was talking about subverting ethics in the process of creating a game that has ethical choice, met technology at the core of its fictional universe by means of gameplay mechanics. Subverting ethics creates a more. Oh, yeah, we were talking about the types of things you could do. There's subverting ethics, and there's one. Mirroring ethics. There's subverting ethics and mirroring ethics. For closed game design, there's open game design, there's closed game design. Cool. Is it? Oh, we're good. I'm so tired in these past few days, I don't know why. In Shadow of the Colossus, for example, players might wonder if killing the Colossi, which are not aggressive until attack, is the right thing to do, despite the fact that this is the only goal of the game. I'm just gonna call it Colossus. Killing the Colossi. Despite the fact that this is the only goal of the game. Ouch! Ah, fuck, I stabbed myself with a chair. In this game, the very vague introduction is followed by slaying of the first Colossus, and the whole sequence is designed to provoke a certain range of emotions and ethical reflection in the player. The way the Colossi die and the lack of immediate rewards force the player to think about her actions and her values. Okay then. Colossus. And the whole sequence is designed to provoke a certain range of emotions and ethical reflection in the player. The way they call today and the lack of immediate reward. Reward force the player to think about her actions and their values. I wonder. I want to watch. I don't know. Never really like play Shadow of the Colossus or watch any gameplay of it, so I'm not really sure how it works. Let's see, should have the policy. The search. There's a remake for the game? Oh, let's see. Oh, holy hell. Help, my computer is struggling to play. My computer is struggling to play it. Nice. It's cool. Holy hell. Wait, is this a remake? I think this is a remake, right? Okay. Oh yeah, this feels very different than fighting an enemy randomly. I can see it. Like you're the offender instead. Dragon Dogma did something similar, but like, oh shit, so sleepy. Oh, sorry. Whoa, there's that thing in Dragon Dogma. But yeah, Dragon Dogma did the same thing, and basically like, what do you call it? Basically, Dragon Dog. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sleepy. I don't know why. Dogma did the same thing, but you can clearly see that the monsters are aggressive. Like the whole world is trying to get you in Dragon's Dogma. That's pretty cool. I didn't. Do people don't like Dragon Dogma too? What's the review? Dragon's Dogma 2. I know there's a TV show and people don't like it at all. I think. I don't know why. I haven't watched it. Dragon's Dogma 2 gets a 6/10 rating on Steam? Ooh, people don't like it in the Reddit. PlayStation is not that bad. Dragon's Dogma. How about Dragon's Dogma 1? Land and Sky. Dragon's Dogma Dark Horizon gets a 9 out of 10. 4.5, actually. 4.5. Why do people hate this? Let's see. Okay, the, the price. Probably not the price. Like, where's the review? How do you see a review? It got a Japan Game Award. Ooh. Ooh, yes. No, yeah. Let's see. As you know, fantasy slop with some meta ideas. Ooh, interesting. No, but yeah, but what's the problem? In the social media, there's a lot of difficult, but against the MTX or they'll see with me. Okay, yeah. Yeah, yeah, okay. Because it's blah blah blah. Shallow, the super but it's a spot on death. There's no memorable dungeons. The Alberta the same can even be Christian confusing. This is the same. Yeah, I maybe I kind of know what they mean because in Dragon's Dogma Dark Horizon, every dungeons you explore feels special. Unless you go into the Dark Horizon dungeon, I forget what you call it, which is kind of confusing, but still, you know every cave systems you go in usually. Like this area, that area. I'm not sure about Dragon's Dogma 2 because I haven't played it, so okay, I'll take that with a grain of salt. You have less skill and weapons to use in combat. Dark Horizon, you have two weapons equipped for the most part and more skills to use. Two weapons? I don't remember that. Wait, yeah, two weapons? Oh, wait, yeah, you have options to use this weapon and that weapon sometimes. Yeah, maybe? So somebody will see you just regularly just using the same skill over and over. The balance of skills is also real bad, and you can easily cheese most fight as thief with just a skill that auto dodge and another skill that is explosive. I'm pretty sure that also holds true for Dragon Dogma 1 with the Magic Archer. Not Magic Archer, with the Archer and Assassin, so I'm not sure. How do you... No, even in late in game fights, you can one shot Diamond with a bunch of things cheesing. Lack of skills doesn't make being caster less exciting. I'm sure. I just have to see. The Difficulties are worse than the aim, and even worse with the fact that the difficulties are really bad or even worthless. Wayfarer on paper sounds great until you realize that equipped skills don't change depending. Trickster is a support class where you blow smoke and pray that your pawns actually do something. Hey, it's like Dragon's Dogma 1 as well. Maybe healer. I don't know. We'll see. That's how my healer experience in Dragon Dogma is. Well, I'm just like trying to focus on as a mage to heal, and I'm getting cucked everywhere. The worst enemy, there's worse enemy variety, and monsters are much less of threat than before. Just by standing still, you can dodge the ogre attacks for too long. That's crazy if it is. And even if he hits you with a special move, he'll wait around for ages before even initiating another attack. I still remember I got comboed by the ogres in the first one. So we'll see. The world is less reactive, you can go crazy and capable in the city, and people won't really care beyond schooling and little. The guards doesn't care much either. Ooh, really? There are stealth quests in the games, but you can just walk in without disguise or anything, and nobody will give a damn. If you get arrested, you can just leave your cell, throw the nearest guard into a wall, and walk away unscathed. There are basically zero consequences to your actions. There are also zero consequences to my actions in Dragon's Dogma 1, because I can just pay the guard to leave the cell, if I remember. At least for that part, I don't really remember if there's any other relations with the NPCs. Some might argue that this is for meta reasons, knowing the first game, but the foundation is not strong enough to justify such lack of reason. The story is but initially threatening the sex and girls, but managed to be worse in every aspect. The pounds are so bad at pathing that they frequently drown, died, and never become an issue for me. Mm, yeah. Also, you know what the price? You know what the price difference makes me. The price difference and the years of development. Yeah, I can see completely now. It just feels like a poorly assembled mess, as made due to the budget was blown and trying to learning how to use the RNG or something. Even when it turned out real, better. Undercooked, underwhelming. Interesting. Very interesting. I haven't checked Dragon Dogma 2 at all, so I don't really know. And their values. What's the values about? Shit, Shit of Colossus is interesting because in more conventional games, effectively overcoming challenge yields better tools for agency. More conventional games, effectively overcoming challenge yields better tools for agency. Powers, leveling up, and such, but in this title, after each success, the player is slowly deprived for agency and thrown into a cutscene that could be interpreted as defeat. Interesting. And Colossi, instead, Colossus. Instead of yielding better tool for agency, the player is deprived of agency and thrown into a cutscene that could be interpreted as defeat. The game is forcing the player to interpret her actions by means of manipulating the conventional rules and mechanics of the game. An example of good close subtracting design. Another example of subtracting close, I think, is September 12th. Yeah, I like September 12th. It's cool, it's amazing. When playing this game, we initially create a set of values based on what the design and other elements such as the instructions suggest. I forget something. Okay. I almost had a heart attack. I forget I have a timer going on. Apparently it's fine. It's fine. Another example of subtracting close ethic is September 12th when, yeah. We subtracting close ethics. What's the subtracting close ethic mean? But leaves the ethical to the player. A means of gameplay mechanics. Is September 12th. When playing this game, we initially create a set of values based on what the design and elements such as interaction which suggest to us. We are a control weapon, they are terrorists, and we act, we shoot, they are victims, innocents are born, and mourners turns into terrorists in an endless cycle. The game never evaluates the moral of our actions, but it appealed to our ethical values to understand that the only ethical gameplay is not playing, suspending our agency in the game world. Okay. Our values based on what the design and other. By the way, I'm going to start uploading videos today as well. Sleepy. So I'm gonna record a video after this stream. I'm gonna record a video after the stream and then I will sleep. And then I will wake up and then I will edit it and then go into the same cycle of life. Which is kinda sad. What game is it? I still don't really know. Ouch, I hit my hand, that hurts. Sleep as fuck. And I wish I can inject melatonin into my vein and just like sleeps for the entire sleepiness hour. Hmm. Oh my god. That's getting you. Other element, yes. What's the other element? Elements such as the instructions. That's not instructions. Suggest to us we are in control of a weapon. There are terrorists, and we act. We shoot. There are victims, innocents, Innocents are mourned, and mourners turn into terrorists in an endless cycle. The game never evaluates the moral of action, but it appeals to our ethical values to understand that the only ethical gameplay. Yeah, it doesn't evaluate us like. I'm thinking like by that it means like not judging us, but rather telling doesn't like count it through any indicators, like Star Wars, for example. Unless I'm not sure what evaluates here mean. Like, does Sans Undertale judging us at the end of the game is evaluating? I assume not based on the reading of the thing, right? No? Wait, it's a closed ethical system. Undertale is a closed ethical system. Huh. It's not playing, suspending our agency in the game world. Friend is land and sky. In subtracting class design, players create their values according to what the game suggests. In the first step of the ludic hermeneutic circle, subtracting, okay, class design, players create their values according to what the game suggests. In the first step of the ludic hermeneutic circle, the game experience will not take those values into consideration. It will subtract them from the direct interaction with the game world. Wait. So the players see what the game suggests, and then they are making, they're creating values from what the game is suggesting, and then from that, the game experience will not take those values into consideration. It will subtract them from the direct interaction with the game world. What does that mean? It probably means that. Oh, howdy, welcome, Odalis Portillo. Yeah, Odalis Portillo. Hello, welcome. I don't really think I've seen you here before. Sorry, it's mostly a boring stream because I'm reading a book and just writing things that I'm reading from the book and trying to understand it. Hello, Erzy Smith. Smith? Something. Like Sticky? Who? Sticky what? Terrifying. What's Sticky? I'm scared. But yes, welcome. Hope you enjoy the situation. It's a rather, like I said, it's a rather boring stream because it's just me reading a book over here, studying so I can finish my college and doesn't have to deal with it anymore. And it's kind of tiring me out right now. It just randomly popped up, lol. Oh, really? Fascinating. I guess that's how the recommendation works. Thank you for attending. Game experience. What's the game experience? Blah, 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 blah. The game experience will not take those values into consideration. It will subtract them from the direct interaction with the game world. So the values that we create as a player in a closed game design, in a subtracting closed design, doesn't directly impact the gameplay that we did because my brain is fried. This is basically just the first step. Yeah, I'm doing this study stream like every day, and I try to do it every day so I can catch up with my studies. And this is almost at the end of like the book that I need to take a note of a lot, because this one is for my college thesis for final papers. Yeah, that's the word. Probably the English word for that. The final papers, the thesis. But after that, I will probably read some other books that doesn't require much taking notes, so I can just like blaze through it. Like, I'm planning to read a book about either Satanism or some homebrew medicines, because those seems interesting. Game experience, yeah, will not take those values into consideration. Question mark? It will subtract them from the direct interaction with the game world. Cool. Yet actions in the game are oriented to create ethical reflection and awareness, and as such, they generate a moral experience. Interesting. Cosmere and design also take into previous one was the wait. No, wait. Oh yeah, previous one was the subtracting close design. This one is like mirroring design. Close as well, of course. Close mirroring design also takes into consideration the player as a moral being, but forces her into an ethical position that can be uncomfortable. Okay. Also takes into consideration the player as a moral being, but force them into an ethical position. But I don't really understand the subtracting close design. However, I understand more about the close mirroring design, because we can. The example, there's a lot, like Manhunt, or what else? Postal? Is Postal. I never really play Postal, so I don't know. Maybe Cult of Lamb. Cult of Lamb, The Coffin of Andy and Lily? Yeah, those three are like close mirroring design. Let's see. I'm lost? Where was I? Oh yeah. That can be uncomfortable. In Manhunt, the player has to commit gruesome acts of. I should probably. Right. There we go. Manhunt, for example. In Manhunt, the player has to commit gruesome acts of cruelty in order to progress. It is a game designed to encourage these unethical acts. But this game also uses its fictional element, forcing the avatar. Hello, welcome, clap. Cool. I don't really think I've seen you before, but yes, welcome. Hello, yes. Big hello. I'm gonna yell at you as well. Hello. Oh, BRB, I order some treats, a little bit of drinks. Okay, because I'm thirsty. BRB, it's here. That's the wrong thing. Okay, that's the. There we go. Perfect. BRB. Okay, I'm back. What happened? Wait, there's a retract message. I'm terrified. Did something happen while I was gone? I was like grabbing a drink for a little treat because I want it. I've been like on a program of like, yeah, I've been like trying to fast for like 20 hours a day. I'm following the Warriors Road diet, which is like I just ate for 4 hours a day and that's it. But sometimes I break the program a little bit just to take a little treat. I deserve a little treat sometimes. But yes, I was like grabbing a drink and then grab my cat and just heckling out the shit out of them. Is heckling the correct word? I'm terrified now. No, you know what? Maybe not. Maybe not heckling. I'm not sure. Just mwah 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 mwah. Little kitten. I see the pride. Let me read the chat now. I see the pride flag in the top right corner of the stream, and it wants to say that I'm gay. Okay, cool. Happy for you. Perfect. Yeah, I'm new here. I say hello in all caps so I can make myself stand out, and so if you read me saying hello and don't read my name, you'll know who it is. Clap. I directed my message because I messed up spelling and messing it up, and my brain froze. Messing up spelling make me annoyed. I see. That's understandable. What's your major, by the way, if you don't mind me asking? No, I don't mind you asking. It's free. Feel free to ask shits. My major is, unfortunately, philosophy. Unfortunately. Which means I'll probably get my ass kicked if I'm trying to look for jobs later on. I didn't consider that at all, honestly. But yeah, it's philosophy. Most people who went into philosophy in my place uh is already like, what do you call it, from a well established background. No, either okay, so they're either from a well established background, so they already have a jobs and stuff like that, so they are easy to live on, or they are backed by the Catholic Church. Yeah, a lot of philosophical major students here are from the Catholic Church. I'm not sure about the other universities in the world, of course. And then there is me, and of course there's some other few people who just like decided to like just, you know what, I'm gonna join a philosophy major, and it'll be totally great. I mean, it's fun, but painful. Where's I? There we go. Plus mirroring design, Manhunt, for example. Let's see. Blah blah blah. With this game also, forcing a player to star in snuff films if you want to survive, to project an ethical experience to the player. Yes. Players tend to identify with their characters in the game, and in this case, the identification implies an exploration of the moral boundaries. Let's see. To identify. I usually like, I mostly like upload games in this channel. Sometimes memes, mostly games, sometimes a little bit of memes. But recently this month I've been like focused on studying, so most of the new videos are just me streaming. But of course I'm planning to continue back going into gaming a little bit later. Are you a VTuber or a PNG tuber? I don't know the difference. I'm. You could say that a PNG tuber is a subcategory of VTuber, so it's also part of VTubing. Unless I misunderstood what VTubing means. Let's see. Yeah, let's see. VTuber or virtual YouTuber is an online entertainer who uses a visual avatar generated using computer graphics. So, PNG YouTuber is a subcategory of that. I'm not sure. Yeah, I could be a PNG YouTuber, you could say. What do you think of the ethics of true? Oh, I see. Many horror games are based on real life horrific situation, abuse, cannibalism. Mm, that one is kind of depends on various factors for me. For one, if it's made by the person themselves as a way to communicate their trauma and things like that, then that's totally fine. But when it's used as a way to capitalize on the whole thing, no, it's not. Example would probably be Call of Duty. Unfortunately, Call of Duty. I know there's like those post-war scenes in Call of Duty, which is yeah, it's showing the impact of war and something like that. But Call of Duty itself is more of a game that tries to capitalize on the whole thing instead of just saying yeah, this is bad, this is a bad thing that's happening. But personally, I'm fine depending on the who's making it and what's the purpose of making it. I consider VTuber someone using a 3D model and PNG will be a 2D rendering. Interesting. I would say not really, because VTuber will be virtual tuber, and PNG tuber is basically just a subcategory of VTuber. Or side. Players tend to identify with their characters in games. In this case, the identification implies an exploration of the moral boundaries of the player. Implies an exploration. Yeah, according to Google, a PNG tuber is a content creator that uses a 2D virtual avatar created. Virtual avatar, so there we go. Virtual tuber, VTuber. So, PNG tuber is a subcategory of VTubing. Plus an exploration of the moral boundaries of the player. Cool. Furthermore, there is a mechanic in Manhunt that encourages players to commit even more gruesome acts of violence by rewarding them for their cruelty. Players don't have to commit this execution, but that means not achieving the maximum score. Yeah, I love. If you think about it like in DDR, like Dance Dance Revolution, it's kind of silly to think it in the what do you call it? Through the lens of DDR. You're just trying to achieve the highest score by doing some gruesome shits. According to Google, well, VTuber is an umbrella term. Yeah, it's an umbrella term. That's the word. I forgot about that. That includes various other types. So PNG tuber is a part of VTubing that use part of VTubing. So yeah. I'm not sure if it's actually a subcategory. Maybe there's more words to define it better. I was just saying that what I had in mind, but it could also be different from what it is. What am I typing? I'm typing notes that I take from the book that I'm reading, which I'm using for my thesis for my college, so I can be chill and graduate. Which doesn't really happen for later. I can grab the PNG of the book. It's quite. I quite recommend it for learning about the ethics of video games. It's kind of neat. However, it's kind of confusing as well if you don't, because the author of the book doesn't really explain this term, that term, with this term, blah 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 blah. So there's a bunch of research that you need to hop on, or you need to be a little bit, what do you call it? You sometimes need just to make shit up now. Theorize of what the author is trying to say, and cross-check maybe with some other things. Let's see, where's the image thing? I'm trying to pull the PNG of the book. It should be fine to do that. Not the PNG, I mean the title of the book. This is a book that I'm reading. I should probably just add it multiple times later on to whatever. That looks very ugly on screen. Yes, I think so. It's this, The Ethic of Computer Games by Miguel Sicard, written in 2009 by MIT Press. Hell yeah, I remember that. Let's see. What are typing? I guess for the game codification of human experience, you could relate that to the Heidegger's view on technology. I took one philosophy course read. I'm pretty sure Heidegger's view on technology is quite negative. If I don't actually, yeah, you kind of reminds me that Heidegger actually talks about that. I don't fucking even remember about that. The only thing I remember about Heidegger is about being time and then his fucking Nazi journey. That's all I remember about him. I didn't even remember that he was talking about technology. Who else talks about technology? Does Schopenhauer talks about technology? I don't remember. Interesting. I've just heard people say that the PNG is an VTuber, or I wanted to know for sure. Depends on what they are arguing for. It's a new word, and people can still be talking about it a lot. Personally, I see it just as an umbrella term. What books are you reading? Yes, this is the book I'm reading. But also, don't take me for what do you call it? Not seriously. What's the word for it? Don't take me for granted. No, I haven't studied exactly a lot of philosophy for these few years because I've been taking breaks from college, and here we are. I mostly remember a little about, I guess, Greek philosophy, Hinduism, and what else? Maybe a little bit of Middle Age philosophy, contemporary philosophy. I don't even remember. Shits. Phenomenology a little, I guess. World player. Furthermore, there's a mechanic. What was I? Yeah. In this tension between the values of the player and the values of the subject internal of the game, by means of game mechanics, we find the application of mirroring ethical design. The mirroring ethical design comes from the tension that is created between the difference between the subjects inside the game and subject outside the game. The values, okay? Player and the values of the subject external to the game. In the case of Bioshock and a moment of revelation of the mind control mechanic, the use of mirroring ethical design technique involves players as critical agent both during the actions where they have no direct agency, while killing Andrew Ryan, spoilers, and in their reflections about the consequences of action past, where what seems like a subtracting method turned out to be a disguised mirror structure. Interesting. I'm still not really sure what subtracting method is, but I kinda understand what a mirrored structure is. I'm eating dinner right now. I'm eating mac and cheese with hot dogs bits. Ooh, that sounds delicious. Okay. I was like, I was so hungry, so I decided to just order some stuff that I will then usually order. It kind of breaks my wallet. I don't know. I just like feeling a little bit hungrier today, so I get some fish and chips. Delicious. I love fish. I love fish a lot. Fish and chips and some fish. More fish. Yes, fish. Yummy. Delicious. Mm, I'm lost. Where was I? Where what seems like a spreading method. The subtle use of these two modalities of ethical design shows how it is possible to combine them in creative, productive ways. Okay. Under Ryan, blah blah blah. Subtracting method, but it turned out that the last moment were disguised mirrored structure. Not really sure about this. I feel like the difference between the subtracting method and the mirrored structure is kind of vague because mirrored structure implies that uh, players are being put in a situation where in the shoes of a character that wait no mirrored structures. I think mirrored structures might imply the need of a already established character, while Bioshock also has established characters. No, God, this is confusing. Mirror ethical design narrows the ethical options of the player in the game, forcing her to experience what the designers wanted her to experience in terms of her ethic as an agent in the game. Cutscenes. The game world and occasionally gameplay act as a mirror of the ethical experience the player has to go through in order to play the game. Designing with mirror ethics means forcing the player to go through an ethical experience similar to the one the game's object encourages. It takes into account the player ethical being but limits it with creative goals. These games become an exploration of ethical boundaries and capabilities for expression of the player. In mirroring ethical design, the game is aware of its own value system and builds gameplay around its awareness, without players being able to do anything but play these external ethics. God, I really want mac and cheese later on, man. That sounds delicious. I don't know. The only thing stopping me from getting mac and cheese is actually the cost of it. Like, come on, cost efficiency? Is that the word? Cost efficiency for it. Like, yeah, it's delicious, but breaking the bank. Plus design. Wait, where was I? Plus game designs then have two different modalities that can be used to achieve different creative and ethical goals. Wait, I'm lost. The player has been. In mirroring ethical design, the game is aware of its own value system and both can focus on this awareness, without the player being able to do anything but play these external ethics. Manhunt, I understand. Okay. Game designs then have two different modalities that can be used. Interesting. Closed game designs then have two different modalities that can be used to achieve different creative and ethical goals. Subtracting ethics pattern leave player the task of understanding the values they are playing by and reflecting on them. Mirror ethical patterns are more direct experience of predetermined ethical situation. So it's basically the same thing, but one is more direct than the other. Yes? A much harsher kind of experience that also yields intense reflection when we are not players. And of course, the combination of both techniques can yield rich game experience in which ethics plays a fundamental role. What's your favorite food and drink? Fish. Fish and chips. I love fish. Sorry, that's my chair. I'm just. Yeah, that was my chair. I was just grabbing something. But yeah, it's probably fish because I love fish. I grew up in a household that eats a lot of fish, so fish. I'm trying to think, maybe avocado? So fish, avocado. Fish, avocado, and that's all mostly? Fish, avocado, what else? Not a lot of food that I really like. I like your accent, where do you live? And that's a little bit of a secret, but you can find it with a little bit of digging. You should probably find it. We'll discuss mirror structure. I'm lost again. The most important conclusion derived from this unethical tool is that during the design process, the developer must take into account that players are moral beings who will evaluate the act of playing the game using not only gameplay strategies, but also a set of values derived from their experience as players and their belonging to a community. Players form communities in multiplayer games. Cool. Players form communities in multiplayer games not only based on social needs, but also on ethical principles. By letting players interact with the game develop... yeah? Okay, I can understand that. By letting players interact with the game, developers are letting them create the values that will organize their experience of the game. Communities are also effective moral agents in the game, creating policies of behavior and codes of conduct that they will extract from the game, adapt, and then they apply in their gameplay. Players not only create content and communities, they also create values. Cool. I live in the West USA in the state of Oregon. Ooh, I love Oregon. I thought Oregon was fake from the game Oregon Trail. Just kidding. Oregon. Let me see. I'm trying to find a silly news or something from Oregon, but it's just horrible news. I don't like it. I was just trying to pull some hopeful news from Oregon, but no. Oh, I'm lost. Player not only correct. An open ethical game design acknowledges the presence of these moral communities and let them reinforce their values in the game. Players created content is a usual topic in a massively multiplayer online games literature. I still don't really understand the difference between an open and a closed game design here. So, a video game has two types of design. Basically, Miko said. There is closed ethical design, and there is open ethical design. And the closed ethical design have two modalities to exist, which exist in they can both exist in the same time. What's the word? Non-contradictory? Fuck, I forgot. But yeah, those two modalities are subtracting close design and mirroring close design. An open and ethical game design acknowledges the presence of these moral communities and let them reinforce their values in the game. Player-created content is a usual topic in the massively multiplayer online games literature, and one that usually brings forth issue of creative control, ownership, and community management. Allowing players to create persistent content for a massively multiplayer online game is a complicated technical issue that requires a strong balance in the game design and in the game tools, as the world could easily be swallowed by subpar player-generated content. Oh yeah. About that. It just kind of reminds me of AI, which is horrible. Also, content created by player in a world strongly regulated by binding end-user license agreement in terms of copyright and ownership laws might raise severe problems of regulation and control. In this perspective, companies tend not to allow players to create content in massively multiplayer online games. Yep. Allowing players to afford their values in the game system is not, however, a matter of player-created content. Probably World of Warcraft. The old of World of Warcraft was kind of a wild situation, right? I'm not really sure. I never played World of Warcraft, but from what I know about other games such as Final Fantasy 15, I don't play that as well. I'm hearing it from the account of people who play it. There is some weird groups going on there, so I could assume that World of Warcraft would be much worse, especially back then. Allowing players to afford their values in the game system is not, however, a matter of player-created content, but of balancing the distributed relations of ethical responsibility in the game to a more favorable position for players. Yes, this is what Miguel has been trying to propose a lot in his book, which is instead of using just virtue ethics to review games or information ethics, he is proposing the distributed responsibility ethics framework. Right. System is not, however, matter of player content, but of the distributed relations of ethical responsibility in the game to a more favorable position for players. Okay, what does it mean? Let's see. So players having values in the game, creating ethical values or other sort of values, which is like probably ethical values in this context. It's not just like depending on the person themselves to be able to do so in any sorts of game scenarios. For example, you're playing Tetris and then you suddenly develop values. That's not how it works. But what Miguel's saying is that there should be working from the player community, from the game designers, from everything to create a sphere of not. I'm taking it from Infosphere. An Infosphere that respects and enables players to create the values itself. So yes, it's more of an eco-ethics. Eco-ethics, you could say? Yeah. Players have to be able to enforce the values they want to live by in their gameplay, and the developers should limit themselves to being mere conflict arbitrators. In current massively multiplayer online games, due to the confusion between ownership and players' empowerment, communities tend to act as tyrants who direct players as to how they want the game to be played, and do not respect the presence and power of the community when it comes to value-based gameplay. An interesting game that allows its player communities to create their values as they want is in a laissez-faire, laissez-passer. That's French, I assume. I don't know what that means. Yeah, it's French. What does it mean? Let be and let pass. Where economists suggested the government to stay out of business and Yep. Okay, we could use that for video games, of course. The big company is the government, and the players are the economists. Amazing. Mars is EVE Online, which is perhaps the massively multiplayer online game closest to the goal of ethical soundness. Because players are moral beings, they have to be allowed and encouraged to afford their ethical values in the game. Players need to see that their discussion about the values of the game are heard, respected, and the possible conclusions implemented. Game developers should be present in the game and in the community space as arbitrators who knows the community values as well as the original game values. Creating a multiplayer game is creating a place where the people play together, a place where their rules are also significant. Open. I'm lost. I like you. You're nice to talk to. Thank you. I'm lost again. This is why I hate like books that has what do you call it? White background, because I'm lost. Like whenever I look away for a bit and then I look back, I'm immediately like greeted by a blinding flashing light, and I was like, okay, where do I try to look? Where did I left my eyesight before? My eyesight lies before. The last time it lies. This where the one for part. There's no see the discussion. Yes. Creating a multiplayer game is creating a place where people play together. A place where their rules are also significant. Often ethical games are those in which the ethical reflection of the player goes back into the game system, where the ethical process of development does not stop in the designer computers, but goes further into the player community. In this way, multiplayer computer games will actually become ethical objects and experience living and breathing worlds. Open ethical design in online games requires a high degree of involvement from player communities, which also means the developers should have the possibility and the responsibility of resisting certain community or group-based ethical implementations in the game. Open design requires the developer and the community to engage in a relationship in which the ethical boundaries between them are respected. Wait, let me understand this. Yeah, it basically says that developers should give players in multiplayer games, developers should give the players more freedom, but at the same time, don't allow the players to do shits like, for example, Dead by Daylight, just like slugs everyone for 4 minutes and then hump them to death, and everyone is just suffering and crying and shaking. Nobody wins, by the way, in that scenario, because first the killer will just get like lower blood points, then everyone time is wasted, and then they also like get lower pip compared to what would have they get if they just like play normally. It fucking sucks. But then, like, Miguel was trying to say probably here that, yeah, don't, uh, yes, players should be free, but we do not, that doesn't mean we can encourage this kind of freedomness. Like, there should be a degree of involvement of discussion between the community, between the developer and the community to say, yep, you know what, this sucks. It is a theoretical reflection on open ethical games, but how would the design of such a game look as a thought experiment? Yeah. First, the developer will have to establish a set of minimal rules determining what conducts and practices are directly considered undesirable and subject to expulsion from the game. This set of ethical rules shall be minimal and comprise more or less common sense features concerning data and privacy protection, as well as foul or offensive language. Okay, yeah. And some variations of cheating and griefing. Well, I was thinking about cheating. Then a body of referees in charge of refereeing situation inside the game. This is very, what do you call it? This is what? How do I describe it? It's very. It's an interesting concept to apply to multiplayer games, but I'm not sure if it will actually works for all sorts of multiplayer games, especially massively multiplayer online games, especially. Then anybody in charge of refereeing situations in the game and the community forums will be trained to read, understand, and act upon the values of the game as they are intended to be in that foundational set of principles and as they are interpreted and created by the community. The example I could derive from this is Albion Online, I think. Maybe not really similar, but I do know that in Albion Online the mods are just hanging in the global chat sometimes. There are moderators in the global chat, which is kind of hilarious. And how do I say it? I don't know. Yeah, it kind of just feels like instead of like playing games, it feels more so like a forum. Which is, to be fair, most multiplayer games, like massively multiplayer games, global chat is already an online forum. I don't know, I just feel like I'm not really sure about it yet. The developers have to direct constant and persistent insight in the development of the values enforced by the community. This hypothetical game has to be designed in a way which the players can create their own sets of values within the boundaries suggested by the developers, and those values can be implemented in the game as codes of practice. There are two ways of doing so. First, by not imposing on the players any limitation, so no limit. Okay, cool. Not much limitation. Understand when it comes to their value experience of the game, including changes that may affect that value system. Second, by giving the player a system by which member of the community can be chosen to have actual policing capacities in the game. Yes, a guild, maybe? Guild members and so on. The MMORPG Tale in the Desert is an experimental title, but what Miguel's tried to claim here is much more than just a guild membership, because it involves like the whole game community, of course. The MMORPG Tale in the Desert is an experimental title in which there are no combat mechanics, and everything is focused on the development of the community and in the game community. In this game, there is a hierarchical how do you say this in English? Hierarchy. What? Hierarchical? Hierarchical? Hierarchical. Okay, cool. Hierarchical. So there. Hierarchical structure in which the pharaoh, who is actually the lead game developer, and a group of game modders and the supreme legislator of the game, mainly because they have access to the source code. Interestingly though, RuneScape also does this, right? I don't really remember about RuneScape. I don't play RuneScape, that's the problem. Mainly because they have access to the source code. Interestingly, though, the game has a built-in system by which players can create their own laws. The community then votes on these laws, which are passed on to the pharaoh for consideration and implementation in the game. A Tale in the Desert then can be considered an open game in which players' ethics actually have a strong influence on the development of the game experience. scoring method, something. Strong influence on the development of the game experience. In other words, this game, owing to the importance given to the community and the tools provided for the expression, is an ethical game. Yeah, I don't think it can be applied to all sorts of massively multiplayer games because it just feels, what do you call it? I don't know. Miguel claimed that this will be freeing and good and stuff like that, but at the same time, it feels rather restrictive, no? Implementing open ethical designs means taking during steps in creating multiplayer experience. It implies an effective release of their powers by the developers, and an approach that considers the common game experience as a shared environment in which the power, as the responsibility, is distributed. Yep, distributed framework. I'm aware that at the moment of writing this line, the kind of massively multiplayer online games that are being developed will follow the popular and highly authoritarian model of World of Warcraft. That's insane. That's crazy, calling like Tarian model. I mean, yeah, I can understand what you mean. Can understand what you mean. Even so, what I'm advocating for here is an ethical design for ethical beings, and eventually, that presence of ethical players will call for a more open design of shared ethical looting experience. In this chapter, I have introduced some design notions that can be inferred from the framework on computer games ethic that I have presented. I've outlined some categories and methods of design that may be used for those designers who may be interested in using the complex ethical experience that can take while being a player. Game that takes ethics into account, beginning with their design, need not be good ethical games. Okay, I see. Games that already like take ethics into consideration doesn't mean that they'll be good ethical games. A Gandhi simulator could be the most unethical game experience ever made, depending on the design choice that the developers make. This is with the assumption that Gandhi is an ethical person. Is Gandhi an ethical person? Maybe. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure Mahatma Gandhi has some controversy. Oh yeah, let's see. Controversial belief on gender role, controversial belief on race. Fascinating. But it was when he was young, no? I'm not really sure. I haven't studied a lot about Mahatma Gandhi, so I'm just like, interesting. Depending on the design choice that developers make and how the players and the communities interact with the system. A game in which there's no conflict or there are no interesting way of resolving conflicts might seem like an ethical game. But such game will eventually fail because games are essentially about resolving conflicts of one kind or another. Yes, that's the point of playing a game if everything's just chill like that. Games are experience, and game designers and players are responsible for making this experience satisfactory not only from a ludic perspective, but also from an ethical point of view. Ultimately, the ethic of computer games depends on how these games are played. It is in the act of experiencing a game that we find its ethical relevance, and it is the craft of creating this experience that we call game design. So, yeah, basically all these talks about designing and ethical games and stuff like that will then come to fruition if there's no one playing it. There's no moral agent playing it to be able to create their ethical reflection of the game. I opened something up that I don't want to open. So. And chapter 8. Chapter 8. Almost at the end of the book. There's still more, but those are just like, what do you call it? Reference page? Notes, and a reference. So I could just... Does anybody even read the reference page of the book? Like, does anyone like just open the reference page and... Like, yeah, there are people that reads it, but like I'm saying, like, intentionally read it, like, scramble through it one by one to... Whenever you read a book. Other than just like trying to specifically find it when you're trying to do a research about the book. No? Or like the notes. Yes, conclusion. I started this book by claiming that the understanding of the ethic of computer games in the Western world and the answer to the subsequent moral issues like a coherent, comprehensive theoretical framework that could be used to claim that games are a significant cultural product of our times. In this book, I have suggested such a framework, analyzing what makes computer game ethically relevant and describing how we can understand the ethic of computer games. The research behind this book was initiated in response to what seems a certain zeitgeist, a moment in time at which a moment in time where at which it started to become appropriate and possible to think about computer games not only as one of the largest entertainment industries in the world, but also as a powerful means for expression and communication, a pervasive tool for 21st century creativity. I feel like a lot of the term that Miguel's use and things like that still kind of somehow reflects that Miguel view games as mostly as object of commodity. Which is interesting. As I've already said in the introduction, this is not always an easy book to read, but no, it's not an easy book to read, I'm getting fucked. But at the same time of writing, I felt that to redefine what we understand as the ethic of computer games will require a serious, academic reflection on the nature of games and of those who play. Again, this is not a textbook, nor a self-help book. This book is a philosophical approach to computer games and the ethics that inform them, with the intention of being immediately applicable to design or game production. Cool. I've argued that computer games have to be considered design objects with embedded ethical values that affects the way players can interact with them. I have also argued that players are moral beings who care for the well-being of the ludic experience. Yes. So, Miguel says that, hey, games are design objects. And design objects usually have ethics in their minds, especially a complex design object such as games. So, the designers are ethical designers, therefore. Which is, I guess, reasonable. And then he also argued that players are moral beings who care for the well-being of the ludic experience. That by ludic experience means the experience of the play. Yeah, players are moral beings since Miguel says that humans are moral beings because most game research before him just views game negatively, right? And says that playing game is bad. But then Miguel was like, not really, since this would imply that people are unable to think for themselves, unable to reflect on the game they play and stuff like that. Which isn't true, because people are moral beings. People can reflect on their actions and on the things they see and do. And not just a passive being. And player, as that moral being, plays game in a way that cares for the ludic experience of the game. What does that mean? To preserve the experience of the play. The ludic experience is the play experience, because ludic directly translates to play. For example, when you're playing Dead by Daylight, you want to be immersed in the game, right? You don't want to like just throw the game the whole time or something like that. You want to be the way to play the game in a full own experience. It's kind of hard to describe. Sorry. I'm really glad that you recommended it to me. Thank you. Finally, where I'm lost. There I am. Finally, I argued that to understand the ethic of computer games, we had to take into consideration the way in which moral agents interact with design systems that have embedded ethical values. Wait. The ways in which moral agents interact with design systems. Okay. Therefore, in order to determine the responsibilities of the ethical implications of computer games, it is necessary to develop a distributed responsibility network of agents involved in the formulations of the ethics of any computer games. I will now revisit each of the notions, adding some closing remarks and reflections. Alright. Computer game as moral objects. In order to place computer games in the perspective of ethical research, I have suggested that computer games should be described as objects and as experience. Yes, I forgot to mention that. As both objects and experience. And that in both cases, there are interesting elements that should be taken into account. This distinction between computer games as objects and computer games as experience is based on interpretation of the Aristotelian division between potentiality and actuality. Potentia and actus. Actus? Actio. Depends on the language you're speaking of. Let's see. In English, what is it? Thank you. It doesn't reveal me immediately. Oh, it is actus. Actus and potentia. Wait, who says actio then? Where do I get actio? Oh. Main thing. Games played are the actuality of the game in that sense that they're most complete they're most complete being. So yeah, the game as experience is a game when they are being played, when they are being actualized. In the sense that games as design objects needs to be taken into account because the experience of the game is largely dependent on how that game is designed and how that design influences the ethical being of the player. Computer games as objects are a design system of rules that project a game world in which meaningful ludic interaction takes place. The importance of considering games as a design system that patterns player behavior is that design system and objects can have values embedded in their very design. An idea that frequently argued for in science and technology studies, in post-phenomenology, and in some branches of computer ethics. Yep, some design system and objects can have values. Not all of them, but some of them can have values inside of them when you're creating them. Though the research on the ethics of computer game design is interesting, it is far from the only approach to the understanding of ethics in computer games. It's like the Boston Robotics. I'm gonna be real, like with the Boston Robotics. It's cool. You design police dogs. That's cool and all, but what's the ethical design implication of this? Through description of game design, pointing at the ethical importance and constraints may provide useful knowledge about game ethics, but only if it is put into perspective on an actual game experience, of player interacting within its game world under the boundaries of its formal rule system. It has been my intention to suggest the importance of a design for the analysis of computer game ethics, which in turn implies a strong degree of what? Of ethical importance and engagement on the part of the game designers and developers. And then the player as moral beings. Cool. Perhaps the strongest claim I would like to make in this book is for considering players moral beings who are responsible for their experience of a game and ultimately for the ethics of computer games. Wait, so the developers have a strong importance in the ethical design of the game, but players are ultimately responsible for the ethics of the game, as opposed to mere passive victims and unethical games. I've argued that players are subjects that exist in a game experience. By subjects, I refer to specific amounts of subjectivity or ways of saying I. Yes, cool. The core of the player's subject is found in the game system, but is not limited to it. Players are not passive subjects. The core of the player's subject is found in the game system. So yes, the core of the players, being a player is the first time when you play the game. Being a player of Shin Megami Tensei is when you play Shin Megami Tensei for the first time, but it's not limited to there. It can then be you as a player that can be expanded to like reading books about it, reading fanfics, reading magazines, seeing art, making art of it, or participating in the communities, talking to people about the game, things like that. Players are not passive subjects. Players reflect on their actions and their presence in the game world. Again, players are moral beings using their ethical thinking to make meaningful choices in the context of the game experience. These ethical capacities of players have a fundamental quality. If the player is confronted with a game in which her ethical player boundaries, defined by her culture and her history as player, are broken, then the subjectivization process will stop and the ethics of human being outside of the game experience will enter into effect. So yes, playing a game is a process of subjectivization, and when you are playing a game that may offend you or may confuse you so much, it will break that subjectivization process. And instead of like acting as a player, you then refers to your judgment as a human being instead. This explains that the representation of violence in computer games is an ethical concern of secondary order, because the interesting and more potentially harmful ethical issues that arise in computer gaming are mostly related to the design and experience of the game world by ethical agents. Playing system is dominant to perceiving them as representational. Wait, I'm trying to understand this. Hmm? I don't really understand this. Sorry. Explains that. I'm not really sure what it means, but what I can assume is that Miguel is trying to say, the story of a game or the fiction of the game being violent isn't necessarily. Yeah, it could be, you could say unethical, but it's of secondary nature compared to what? Compared to what is it? Secondary order compared to unethical design by itself, which is, for example, probably predatory monetization. I think could be wrong. By noticing a strong description of the player's moral agent, I am pursuing a twofold goal. On one hand, to give the player a moral agent her due importance in the aforementioned representation of unethical actions in video games, and on the other hand, empowering the player as a virtuous being capable of reflection on her own action. This means not only that players are responsible when playing a game for the actions they take, but that they also have the capacity to morally choose which games to play. Becoming this moral player is a process we learn to become ethical players. So it's not. So yeah, that you don't just play a game and immediately know shits of what do you. You play a game and then you develop a phronosis. You develop a practical wisdom of, hey, this is a good thing to do. Hey, this is a bad thing to do. Hey, I should probably do this. It will help me in the game. Hey, I shouldn't probably do that. You develop that through the experience of playing and being in the player community. And not just popped out like immediately knows shits. We mature in the process of acquiring the ethical understanding that allows us. This is also Miguel's argument to says, yeah, there are violent games that shouldn't be, but they are fine because they are actually designed for mature audience who have time to build their ludic phronesis compared to kids who doesn't really have time for that. We mature in the process of acquiring the ethical understanding that allows us to participate in a meaningful way within game worlds with other players. Becoming an ethical player is the development of an ethical capacity that, as moral human beings, we have, but that we need to develop further. Thus, the importance of age regulation codes. Yeah, see, age regulation. I just stated that. And education of computer games players beyond the marketing impositions of contemporary consumer computer game culture. Oh. I am advocating a perspective on what it means to be a computer game player that empowers players by giving them great ethical responsibility. As I have mentioned before, players tend to be perceived as the victims of computer games, non-reflective, unethical beings that just follow the rules. And players are much more than that. Players are moral creators of values and experience, and as such, they should be respected both by research and by game design. The term being used by Miguel is shit, I forget the term. It's human beings are productive creature. Homo something. Homo what? No, Homo ludens is a playful being. Human are Homo ludens, which means that humans essentially are playful being. Almost all. I think all humans are actually have their own playful. Yes, Homo poieticus. I kind of forget about that. Don't mix that with poem. It's not talking about poetry or shits like that. It's talking about how human beings are productive in the sense that we search for what? What do you mean? Oh, because there's a homophobe. No, I mean like I added a homophobe then here to like write the name. Let's fair. First, blah 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 blah. Yes. The ethic of computer games. Simply put, the ethic of computer games are the ethics of the game as a system of rule that creates a game world. The ethics of computer games are the ethics of the game as a system of rules that creates a game world, which is experienced by a moral agent with creative and participatory capacities, and who develops through time the capacity to apply a set of player virtues. Of course, to reach such a condensed phrasing, I went through a number of reflective steps. Using information ethics, I argued that computer games are an infosphere, yes, an environment where agents and patients exchange information, an environment in which there is a need for balance and equilibrium, as opposed to any actions that unbalance the system, creating harm to any agent or patient, be these humans or the computer created game world. Miguel still hasn't explained, even until the end of this book, what patient means. Probably there's an explanation in notes somewhere, but I don't want to open it, because I have to scroll through all the notes then. Information ethics also provide a framework that gives consistency to the two central claims regarding the ethic of computer games. Designers and developers are ethically responsible for the information system they create. A game designer and a game developing company ought to develop ethical environments, which are not necessarily representationally ethical, but informationally ethical. The well-being of all agents in the system has to be respected, preserved, and encouraged to flourish. Cool. This leads to the second claim of this book. As interpreted from an information ethic perspective, player and other agents in the game world ought to act and interact in ways that preserve the informational balance of the system. But they also have to. The informational balance means that it just means balance, honestly, like the balance of the game, so it doesn't break and shit like that. Like, probably that World of Warcraft incident where the Hand of the Plague or something kills a lot of players because someone just discovered a bug. Something that, no bueno. This is defined as secretive stewardship that ought to inform agent actions in the infosphere, and in computer games it can be related to the fact that players create, by means of playing games, a whole culture and set of practices that are of great importance for the success of the game and not only for its ethical foundations. The concept of creative stewardship can be complemented by Aristotelian virtue ethics. How should agents express their creative stewardship? By means of developing a number of virtues, players exert their creative stewardship, as well as develop the moral reasoning that leads them to make the ethical choices that are appropriate not only for preserving the game balance and informational integrity, but also for further developing their own individual culture as player. This one is interesting. Stewardship. How should agents express their creative stewardship? Question mark. Virtuetics provide the concept of ludic phronesis and player features as fundamental tools for understanding computer game ethics. Two concepts that offer an explanatory framework for those decision-making process players engage in, and that constitute the core of the understanding of player as ethical beings. Yeah. This approach to the ethic of video games puts both players and game designers in a position of great ethical responsibility, but it also provides them with ways of understanding, explaining, and enhancing their ethical properties and capacities within the production and consumption of computer games. Huh? Sorry, my brain froze there. Okay. I'm also suggesting that to understand the ethic of video games, we need to take into account the network of agents that to differing degrees provide values and practice for computer game culture. With this book, I have provided not only a framework for the analysis of computer game ethics, so basically, we need to look at the distributed network and see the importance of everything. Everything's connected here. You see? With this book, I have provided not only a framework for the analysis of computer game ethics, but also a set of descriptive procedures that can contribute to identifying the moral stakeholders in a game experience and their degree of ethical responsibility. The problem with this one is probably going to be, this is a distributed responsibility ethics, right? And the problem arises when the balance has been ticked off, let's say. Now, what if that, so yes, you could say that cheating in video game is bad because it disrupts the balance, right? Well, not necessarily. What if the cheating doesn't really affect that much of the balance, so there's not much imbalance? You know what I'm saying? So therefore, it wouldn't be really ethically interesting to review. I don't know. I'm trying to formulate it in my head. Challenge and feature research. Any divisional program leaves behind a number of gray areas that needs further coverage, more thorough research, or even refurbishing of the whole theory. Refurbishing, yeah, that's a word. I believe that the future line of research, as initiated by this work, will provide a more thorough application of both virtue ethics and information ethics to the field of computer games. More specifically, it will be a great relevance to identify and define the concept of players, virtues, and infosphere, which I have only superficially introduced, and which by all means need a closer attention. Understandable. Beside the always present process of re-elaborating essential notions, there are numbers of other possible lines of research. A closer look at the issues of violent computer games and their possible... Shit, I just remembered something. There was a good material that I listened to a few days ago. Fuck, I forget, what is it? It could be related to this. I have to scroll through the things that I have in now. I'm lost again. Where I spend... The present process of elaborating essential notions. There are numbers of other possible lines of research. A closer look at the issues of violent computer games and their possible effects on player ethical being is an obvious candidate for further development, and the ethical design principles that can inform the process of developing a game ought to be the subject of a more elaborated consideration targeted at the practitioners of computer game design. Both research lines could become central elements in future developments, as well as key arguments in challenging some of the perspectives I have proposed. There's also a missing topic that may require some attention: game censorship, or the fact that some games are forbidden in certain countries. While this is a topic of extreme social relevance, I believe it is somewhat secondary to the objectives of this book. Yes, I can agree about that. Censorship would mean involving the ethical discussion notions of freedom of speech, social responsibility, and politics, none of which have been clearly presented in this book. So the application of this theoretical framework to the censorship of computer games is left to the reader as an exercise of their moral reason. I see. There are nevertheless two large-scale projects I believe deserve closer attention, which I think will bring interesting benchmark results to the study of computer game ethics. One of them is what I would call ethical map of player experience. That is the mapping of the ethical practices and moral boundaries that the player present across cultures and worlds. That is difficult. Miguel basically saying, hey, yeah, since a person as a subject has multiple subjects, multiple bodies that they use and utilize in different experiences, it will be cool if there's a mapping of those moral values they have in this situation, in that experience, blah blah blah, which sounds difficult to me. Players are moral agents by the ways they express their... Hold on, wait. I don't know why I almost perished. God, I almost... Wow. Ooh, No. I feel now it's this for a bit. That's crazy. Whenever I was thinking. Players' moral just by the way they express their morality and the kind of play that is accepted as part of for that morality is true and different across culture. For instance, Japanese pornographic games could scandalize any given urban culture. I think urban culture is just pussy. While Western role-playing games are often deemed uninteresting in Japan. Yeah, those are different. I don't know. Wait, what? The mapping of ethical practice on moral boundaries. Why is it deemed uninteresting? One is a one is could be discussed as an ethical topic. I'm not sure about role-playing games. Is just seems uninteresting could be discussed as an ethical topic. What's your footnote? This is Miguel's footnote. In early 2016, the Japanese magazine Famitsu published the result of poll conducted among the readers to decide 100 most popular games. In the results, there are only 4 non-Japanese games. Because, have you considered first the ability to acquire the game outside of Japan, and second the accessibility of the game itself, the language it has, blah 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 blah, and third, let's see. Wait, what was the first one? The ability to acquire. The second one's the language barrier and other shits like that, accessibility barrier, and third, it might just not be that good? Question mark. But yes, let us return to that one. It has a. Seems kind of interesting. It's interesting. This book is written in like 2009, right? And here we are right now. Everyone is just like, yeah, if you want to goon, go goon. Nobody really cares if you want to goon. While Western role-playing games are often doing the task of mapping this bun. Wait. Oh yeah, mapping. Mapping the player experience and what? The second project is related to the practical application of these principles in the form of games that play a role in the public sphere. What? The second project is related to the principles in the form of games that play a role in the public sphere, having definitions that what? Such as? Where games have the rhetorical and ethical powers to address complex societal discussion. Ah, okay, I see what you mean. Basically, Miguel says, yeah, game has the power to, not the power, the ability to convey various cultural issues, and yeah, like I can see a lot of that happening. Like people have created games, much more games that talks about their life experience and stuff like that, instead of just Bioshock, Bioshock, Bioshock. I love Bioshock though. Never play it, but I love it, which is interesting. Mm-hmm. This potential public service game. What the fuck is public service game though? I don't think. I think what I understand as what will be good and what Miguel understands is kind of different here, because Miguel is much more extreme with the way he talks about community policing in multiplayer video games, public game service. Not sure about that, buddy. Community games have the theoretical and integral powers to address complex social discussion, providing insights thanks to their rather thus potential public service. What? Defined as the logic predicate similar to potential implication of a certain public concerns are by definition ethical games, in which the reflection of their designers and players need to live up to. Oh. I'm just gonna eat, huh? There are many lines of research concerning ethical video games that are yet to be explored. Some of them. This is kind of similar to. I'm sorry, Miguel, but I kind of feel like what you're trying to propose is kind of similar to what the US Army did by making some games that are straight up propagandist. I'm not sure. Could be different. Like, Miguel proposed it in a way that, yeah, civil liberty and people. Not only civil liberty, of course, but like the freedom of people to like make things like that. Games that promotes freedom, man. That's just not really sure. There are many lines of research concerning ethical games that are yet to be explored. Some of them require empirical studies to be completed and the results to be confirmed or discarded and re-elaborated. I've taken the first step for a much needed serious take on the ethics of video games. As such, it is full of blank space that call for discussion and further research in the near future. Final consideration. Okay, we are almost at the end of the stretch. Let's go. Sorry, I'm actually stretching myself as well. Okay, let's go. Without any empirical data, just my moral intuition, I tend to believe that most of the computer games industry does not care at all about the ethics of the products it develops, and it is only marginally interested in reflecting ethically of the consequences of its design choice. Probably back. I'm not sure. There's no really set data that shows me how much the comparison between the huge game industries, you know what I'm saying, like fucking AAA or shit like that, versus the indie games industry, game community. All I need to say, I hope I'm wrong. Game developers tolerate outrageous working hours while they produce products that more often than not do not contribute at all to the advancement of the medium they are using for expression. Not sure about that. Even from a technological perspective, there are many things that are ethically questionable in the realm of computer game development. No other kind of programs except perhaps major operating system upgrades demand the constant renovation of hardware and software that the computer game industry forces on their loyal customers. Yeah, consumers. I could see that. I can see that as an issue because like we keep like pushing out new machines, new software, software is kind of fine actually. New hardware and shits like that, and it's just jarring. Like there's so many games to play already. Yeah, I'm gonna be real. I haven't even played all the Game Boy games that exist back then, which you can simulate, of course, now. Like, do we need all this advancement? Question mark. And do we need all those computing powers, more machines to be pumped outside, and shits like that? Where was I? On the hardcore players who feel they can have this business. And to the extent of my knowledge, there's not even a draft of the ontological code that could regulate computer game design and development practice. There's also like a particular concern in computer game marketing and mass media, which insists on considering player monomaniacs obsessed with graphic details, physics simulations of female bodies preferably. Boobas. There's also like a particular concern in computer game marketing. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, it's also in most medias, which, by the way, it has changed nowadays. People realize that, yeah, you know what, maybe we shouldn't goon so much. Gooning is fine, but don't goon so much. With graffiti dolls, exclamations, and guns, particularly both for video game marketing media and their detractors, politicians included agree on this point. There are misdemeanor which approaches insult against player. Players are thought to be moral zombies trapped in perpetual adolescence. Disempowering computer game users means striking a first blow to the complex ethical architecture of computer games. And of course, the academics are not free of guilt. Pretending we have the solution for all the industry's maladies while making educational programs that seems to require the seal of approval of the same industry I claim stands to be unethical. Wait, what do you mean? Educational programs that seems to require the seal of approval of the same industry. Not to mention the claim that we can actually contribute with our methods and creating better games. I mean, the claim is I feel like that claim is fine. I don't really understand the first one that you say. Activists are not free of guilt. Burning we have the solution for all the industry's maladies while also making it fictional. I will separate. You know what? Yeah, some academics are kind of fucking sucks, but mostly it's the university that sucks. All nodes in the network are guilty of something, of a cultural moment, in which we have allowed computer games by nature an exciting innovative medium to replicate the vices and not all the virtues of other entertainment industries. Do we? I mean, what's the virtues of the television industries? Like, I feel like whenever you create something and you try to say, yeah, we should just take the virtues of it, that doesn't really happen, does it? So don't blame yourself too much there. Don't like chill. But there's also good things. The game industry is full of enormously talented and visionary individuals. Yes, correct. The press and marketing department are starting to pay attention to games that take the medium beyond conventions. Cool. Anyway, game academics are trained to discuss and learn and offer some insights. I believe this book provides some of those insights for all of us who have stakes in the culture of computer games. Cool. This book is about design and about players, about the games we play and how we play them. This book praises our capacity to create. Sorry. This book praises our capacity to create enormously compelling experience with rules, a computer, and the willing souls that agree to play with us. Terrifying. This book also praises how we can play and the game we could make. Understanding the ethic proves that computer games are a promising tool for expression, for reflection, and for contributing to society. Yeah, contributing to society. I really don't like the term contributing to society. Like, I mean, yeah, I will love to contribute to society, but it's just, how do I describe it? I believe there's a term for that. I just cannot find it. Like, it's sometimes it kind of feels like. I'll give an example. The current situation where everything was deemed for society, for the benefit of society, for the protection of certain of. I'm trying to pull the fucking examples. That will then probably be making people go stupendous, well, whatever the word is right now. But yeah, there's a lot of that claims for the benefit of society, but turns out no, not at all. The premises are challenged as players, developer, academics, and responsible citizen. I have given a frame of analysis, a frame for actions. See this our game now. Cool. The call of actions. In his final remarks, I didn't want to forget the players, the central topics of my arguments. Players who are moral beings. Players who think ethically about what it means to play a game as they build complex player cultures that surround their favorite experience and that can transcend the pre-programmed values of a game. At the center of the whole discussion on the ethics of minor games, beyond developers and publishers and academies, we shall find the players not as inane input providers, target groups, or research subjects, but as complex, moral beings who think, reason, and argue about the ethical implications and values of their action within the game world. But also, this could also be applied to like a whole lot of things as well, because yeah, you cannot just really view a population from a survey. You could see like perhaps the majority of review or something, but you have to consider that they are also more complex moral beings. It is our moral duty to encourage players to behave ethically and to develop their moral strengths while better ethical games are produced, and we should encourage ourselves to dare to play ethically, because nothing is just a game anymore. I'm not sure what it means. And that's the end of the book. Yes! Yes! I'm so happy, Finally, I have to write the fucking thing. I still haven't fucking finished writing the thesis. Dice. Oh, I still have free time right now. I'm not sure what I should do with this. Oh god, I'm so excited. Finish the book. Yes. What? That's not what I want. Yes, this is what I want. No. Oh, I didn't know I could do that. That's interesting. So disable this. View is lower. Cool. I don't have much games I can play that I can stream at the same time. One, because I don't want to spoil the game, because I love to play the game like without any spoiling. And two, the games that I can play without spoiling are mostly heavy. I'm trying to open Dead by the Letter now. That's what I'm trying to say. It's probably not going to work. If not, I have what I have installed. I have All Guys, maybe? And Orange Juice. Well, I still have time, like 30 minutes. To relax and enjoy. Finally. It's loading. I don't think I can play this. I'm gonna be real. Subway Surfer games, no spoilers, and easy gameplay. Yeah, but it requires a phone, right? Unless there's a Subway Surfers for not a phone or desktop. Because if it's a phone game, then I need to either get a cam that can just reflect the phone, or B, I get a capture thing, which sounds good, but there's a problem. I'm not sure how people capture shits without accidentally someone calling their phone and be like, ah, shits. I just doxed myself. 10 for 10. Maybe their own private phone? I'm not sure about that. Dead by Daylight. Probably wouldn't run. Waiting for a game. It has been waiting for a game for a while, because this is the first time I've played. I'm going to try to play the game again after months of not playing it, so I wasn't installing it and installed again, so it's doing something. I'm not sure. It's just saying waiting for a game, easy and cheat. God, I wish. Oh, wish? What? I miss Subway Server. What do I mean by wish? I wish Subway Server. I wish Subway Server. Whatever. Loading. Why is it loading so much? Oh, okay. It's already downloading. I'm gonna open the game, see that the FPS is below 15, and just cry. I'm sure that what will happen. Switch. There we go. I have 3 different backgrounds, by the way. It's gonna go. So you have this, the squishy room. You have this, the cool sky, and you have this, the hell. Dead by Daylight. It's not showing, though. Wasn't it showing? Yes! 21 FPS. This could work. Wait, this is just the loading screen. 20 FPS on the loading screen. I don't think it's working. Oh god, what's happening? Oh yeah, they have a blood. I don't care. Go away. Why is the notification so huge, you might ask? That's probably because I'm playing it. I'm opening the game right now in a super low resolution because I'm afraid. I want to see first how much FPS I can get here. It's fine. It's fine. It's just opening the first time I open a game. This is normal lag. I'm sure this is normal. Hoping so hard. Yay, 1%, 2 FPS. What is happening? Crying. Yes, move. Move. Load the game. I should have just stick with not Subway Surfer, Fall Guys. Subway Surfer, let's see. Wait. Oh no. Subway Surfer. There's Subway Surfer. Oh! Oh, there is a PC version of Subway Surfers. Huh. I might check that actually. If this doesn't work, I'll check that. I think in there might be. Not sure. Where's the audio cutoff? Something cursed is going on in the background. I'm not sure what it is in the game. Loading. Why is it loading so long? Oh god, I didn't even notice. I'm probably lagging hard, aren't I? I can see my microphone trying its hardest to actually record shits. There. No. Oh my god, let's go. This is the first time I've seen this. Let's go. Let's go. Why does the sound effect kind of reminds me of Outlast Trials and also Five Nights at Freddy's at the end with the scream? I'm not sure. Oh god. I'm so excited to play. Oh, I'm just so busy. I didn't get time to play games. Almost not time. 17 FPS. 12 FPS. This is already the lowest resolution. What do you mean? Oh, no, it's not. I lied. I actually lied. It's not. Now it is, right? Nope. No difference. Does that help? Uh, 15. Help me. Phosphorus. Until light aliasing off. That's good. Maybe this? If it is on, it's good. No? What? What? I can see the stutter. I can see the stutter of my fucking thing. FSR. Let's see. FSR has no stutter, but like, what am I even looking at? What is this resolution? Okay, maybe if I get into the game, maybe if we play one costume games, it'll be fine. I don't like this. Oh my god, there's Kaneki. Let's go. What is this? I'm coping hard. Maybe this is because the first time I'm playing the game, okay? Since I install it. Maybe if I just like let it cool down a bit, let it refresh a bit, it will work fine. Maybe it worked fine in the game itself, you know? They should... I don't know how, but they should enable people to like just lower the resolution to like 30% or something. That would be super amazing. Their maximum is 65%. Why stop there? Let me do 50%. Let me do 40, 30% even. Please, I'm begging you. I don't really care if I cannot really see the killer or survivors. Ouch! I'm gonna bump something in high detail quality. At least in Marvel Rivals, I could do this better. Why do I see them? Oh yeah, I have lethal. Why cannot I move? What is this? What are you doing? What am I? Help! I'm being bullied by bots. Where did the bots go? Please appear before me, bots. I hate this. That's the lowest. Oh, I can go even lower. Sorry. I think that's already the lowest resolution. My bad. This is the lowest resolution. Yay! No, not the chance. My fucking chance. What is this? How do I reload? I cannot see what it says there. Yeah, I don't understand why when... Is it not possible to program so like while you're changing resolution, it doesn't change the resolution of the text? Because that would be amazing if you do not change the resolution of the text. That's it, I'm rage quitting against the bot. I don't care. How do I rage quit again? I even failed rage quit. Help! Yes, rage quit against the bots. 10% experience. We'll never try that again stream. How about Subway Surfers? I'm interested. I haven't played Subway Surfers for so long. I love it. This one? Eh? No? How do I play it? Okay. Question marks? Question to the mark. Yes. Play. Play game. Why there's a fucking app? What? 1 minute app? No. Oh, okay. Let's get it. Can I just play the game? I'm opening like random Subway Surfers game on the internet. That's totally a great idea. God, I'm scared. Is this how Subway Surfer is back then? It's like loading. Yes. Why is it asking where? How do I do this? Yes. Wait, is this one? This is the one. Oh no, it's this one. $200, yes. No, 250. Yeah. Sorry, I'm adjusting some things. Nope. Nope. Yes? No. This? Yeah. There we go. What is this? Yes. Whatever. What? How do I play it? Oh, okay. I cannot see what. I can see what the fuck is in my fucking. Yay! Ah, I see. Wait, oh, that counts as a bounce? I'm not sure what hoverboard does. Wait, why are we in the bank vault? Where's the D? I don't remember this Subway server. Oh my god. The sound design feels like Spyro. Not gonna lie. Oh, cops. Where's the cop in bunny suits? Oh yeah, because he stars. Wait, is it because he stars? I'm back, I had to run to the corner or something. Oh yeah, welcome back. I really done. Yeah, I'm done like reading the book, like the entire books, finally. So that's very nice. Subway Surfers. I mean, it's kind of fun to play for like a simple games. But the game sound isn't. Wait, is it? Oh yeah, it is on. I didn't even realize that. There we go. I mean, it's fun. It's not like what do you call it? It's not like games that I will play all the time, but it's a game that just like I like to see and sometimes maybe enjoys a little bit. But other than that, no. I cannot really see the chat with this. How do I see the chat? How do I set it up to I can see the chat? Let's see. Nope, that's me. Yeah, it is. It is. Well, I would say maybe not the paramedic thing, but yeah, it is played by a lot of people. How do I? Oh yeah, maybe I should just do that. Up, that's the wrong thing in front. No, that erases the entire thing. This one? Oh, yeah, there we go. Wait, I have to check. Okay, everything's fine. What is that? There's a face there. I know, but it's not the worst offender. I don't remember any of this thing. I was trying to play Dead by Daylight before, but yeah, my laptop is not strong enough to play Dead by Daylight and streaming it at the same time. So I'm just getting wrecked. So I just decided to like, you know what other kind of light games I can play? Ouch. I would like prefer to like play a single player games with maybe stories or multiplayer games with stories or something like that. However, ouch. However, I don't really like playing that on stream because I prefer to play those kind of games well immersed by itself. Yeah. So when I usually stream, I usually pick like silly games that just has this arcadey feel that you can play multiple times and you don't really like miss a lot of things in it all. Oh, fuck this. Oh, that's not how it works. I think I can control it neither. Oh my god, Jetpack Joyride. It is another one of the silly games. What else? Jetpack Joyride. Plan for Zombies at least has more strategies actually. Plan for Zombies. This one is just how skillful your arm is. Happy Bird, yeah. You just bonk a train and like be fine. You'll recover in like a few days. Ooh, what's this? Magnet. Temple Run is also cool. Yes. Yes. The way that Subway Surfer design is, yeah, like exactly like what was Miguel explaining before with the what do you call it? Games that are designed to be like showing you keep showing you progress, keep making you feel like you're going forward and doing something, which is playing with the or sense of being a productive being, you know, and shits like that. And so it like we see progress, we go woohoo, fun, and then we keep playing it. That's the way it's designed. Up, shit. That's silly. Like it. What other games do I have? This one is much more sillier, I guess. Oh, I miss my cat. Where's my cat? My cat is hiding somewhere. Little baby. Little baby. Let's go. Orange juice. Orange juice. Hey? Hey! Hey. They updated the game. I don't know the lore. What's that? Each update is just like situation or psychotic thing. I don't even understand orange juice. Just turn off your brains and play it. That's simple. Outstanding program. Hey? Or hope? What? What is that? Chaos? was amazing. Ah, what happened? Something just happened. I don't like it. Where's all the shitty cards? Where's all the troll cards? This makes me want to play Yu-Gi-Oh again. Yes, absolutely. I don't have a lot of shitty cards around me. Yeah? What is happening? Yeah, but on uphill, let's go. Ready. Oh, what's wrong with the timer? Okay. Get to place bomb. Did I? What is? I forget to change the setting. It's all chaotic. It's all moving very fast. We can throw bombs. What is? Bomb? Can I throw a bomb? Can I bomb people? What do I need? What do I require to bomb people? Dash? What is this? Why am I moving that way? Wait, what? Chicken. Oh, that's a dash. That's why the movement is weird. I should have used the dash. What am I seeing? Yay. Does the bomb even work? Wait, what's up? What are we meant to do here? Yay! No? This is not how... How are we... Why do I get bombed? I'm terrified. Someone died. Please. What's my health? Oh shit, that's not good. I shall have probably. I'm gonna be dead, aren't I? Goodbye. Just dead. Someone is actually winning. What is happening here? Yeah, you're 5. Barrier? So for when you're starting to be alive, so you don't get destroyed? I'm not sure. Dash. Then move. Here. Huh. I don't even understand what is happening. And there we go. My timer is up, right? My timer to do things because I have things to do. So thank you all for attending the stream. It's a little bit of chaotic at the end with one game doesn't working. Sad. One game is just a silly little games of mobile games, and one game is full anime house. But thank you all for attending. I'll see y'all later then in the next stream. I'll probably do it tomorrow again. Bye bye.